Good day viewers, welcome to another edition of the Daily Strange Stories. I'm John Brown. I hope you're enjoying a relaxing weekend and cherishing quality time with loved ones. Our lead story for today. General Mkhwanazi was right, Kelly Khumalo paid 100,000 rand for Senzo Meyiwa's murder. Implicate her and you will die. In South Africa's ongoing struggle for justice, revelations in the complicated Senzo Meyiwa murder trial have confirmed what KwaZulu-Natal Police Provincial Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has warned us. During his press briefing on July 6, 2025, General Mkhwanazi exposed a deep-rooted problem in Gauteng province, where powerful figures in the underworld have taken control of arms of the state, including members of the parliament, both junior and senior police officers, prosecutors, and even parts of the judiciary. He pointed out how these influences allow certain individuals to avoid arrest and suppress investigations into their actions.
And I can confirm before the South Africans today that the investigation which these members were involved with in Gauteng has unmasked the syndicate. And this syndicate involves, amongst others, politicians who are currently serving in Parliament. The law enforcement officers include the members of the South African Police Service, the Metro Police, and Correctional Services. They include prosecutors in Gauteng province, the judiciary, and all these are controlled by the drug cartel as well as business people in that province of Gauteng.
This capture of the system has become painfully clear in the case of Senzo Meyiwa, the beloved Bafana Bafana and Orlando Pirates captain who was shot dead on the 26th of October 2014, more than 10 years ago, yet the person who masterminded and ordered the hit is walking free and enjoying life like nothing happened. Evidence presented in court points to singer Kelly Khumalo, who was Senzo Meyiwa's girlfriend and the mother of his out-of-marriage child. The controversial musician is linked to a 100,000 rand payment for the hit that ended Senzo Meyiwa's dear life. Even more chilling, a pattern has emerged where those who dare to implicate Kelly Khumalo in the plot end up dying under mysterious circumstances, raising serious questions about protection rackets and hidden dangers lurking in the shadows of power. General Mkhwanazi's warnings gain weight when looking at the details of the Senzo Meyiwa case. He accused high-ranking officials, including former Hawks head Shadrack Sibiya, of working with drug cartel leaders and underworld businessmen to protect them. In July 2025, National Police Commissioner General Fanny Masemola asked Shadrack Sibiya, now the Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, to take a leave of absence. This came after allegations that Sibiya disbanded a special task team investigating political killings in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. That team had prepared 121 case dockets, with 5 ready for arrests, but Sibiya reportedly archived them in his office, allegedly with help from suspended Police Minister Senzo Meyiwa.
On the 26th of March 2025, this year, a total of 121 case dockets that were under investigation were taken away from the task team as directed by a Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, a Lieutenant General Sibiya, who was acting on the instruction of the Minister of Police to disband the team. These case dockets have since March been sitting at the head office ever since, without any investigation work done on them. 5 of these dockets had already instruction to arrest perpetrators, but nothing has been done because a Lieutenant General Sibiya, being instructed by the minister, executing instruction of the minister, withdrew all these dockets and they are sitting in archive in his office in Pretoria. God knows why.
These actions mirror the delays and obstructions seen in the Senzo Meyiwa investigation, where key figures like Kelly Khumalo have never been arrested despite mounting evidence. Prosecutors seem hesitant to act, even when confessions directly point to her as the one who ordered and funded the killing, suggesting the very capture Mkhwanazi described is at play here. Proof of the 100,000 rand payment surfaces in the confession statements from 2 of the accused men, which the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria admitted as evidence in March 2024. Judge Reta Mokocheng ruled that these statements were given freely and voluntarily, after a 5-month trial within a trial to check their validity. The accused had claimed they were forced into confessing through mistreatment, but the court rejected this.
When I was walking away, my lord, I just don't remember which of the two members called me to say he wants to speak to me. This is now accused two. My lord, when I returned, what he then said amounted to what led to the arrangement of the confession that was taken by Lieutenant General Rapado. And he was cautioned, my lord, in terms of his constitutional rights. I've dealt with this thing. I just don't want to burden the record by repeating the same thing, my lord. But I did caution him in terms of his constitutional rights when he made a confession, because in essence, he admitted that he was involved. He implicated accused number 1, 3, 4, and 5. Further mentioning my recollection, my lord, Mrs. Kelly Khumalo as the trigger point or the person who hired them to kill the deceased.
Bongani Sandiso Ntanzi, accused number 2, detailed in his statement how he received 45,000 rand for his part in the act. He explained that he got an initial 15,000 rand right after the incident at the Basotho hostel in Vosloorus, east of Johannesburg, and then another 30,000 rand the next day from Tobisi Prince Mncube, known as Carlos. Muziga Ukhulelwa Sibiya, accused number 1, stated he was paid 30,000 rand. Together, these payments add up to part of the 100,000 rand total promised for the job, with the rest likely going to others involved. Sibiya's confession went further, naming Kelly Khumalo as the person who ordered the hit and even confirming details like a phone call from her to Mncube during the planning to make sure everything was on track.
Is there any chain of money from Miss Kelly Khumalo to the accused?
No, not electronically, my lord. There's no electronic evidence. In other words, money being transferred from her bank accounts to the...
What you are saying, Brigadier, in another way, from the bank records that you received from the respective banks, there was no evidence to suggest that there was any payment from Ms. Kelly Khumalo into the respective account.
Indeed, I agree, my lord, but there was also no such assertions. As I'm saying, the payments that we are aware of were made in cash. As to how they got to the accused, who pay other accused, we don't have that chain of electronic transfer. The money was paid in cash. So I want to mention in the statement of Sifiso Zungu that it does implicate the accused and said they acted, all of them, together in the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. We know that accused 1 and 2 received money, and he says all of them, they told him when he was talking to the accused that they were involved in the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. And we know these two were paid. And he says all of them were together, and he places them in the hostel that he saw them, he was there on that day. So logic, my lord, will dictate that if the SAS assertion, how could it be when they say 5 acted in common purpose, they move together, this witness places them in the hostel, 2 will then get paid and 3 not get paid. It doesn't mention the amount, but he puts them together, and it is based on the private confession that was told to him by accused 2, my lord. And I think you make reference to accused 1 as well.
The planning began in mid-October 2014, according to Ntanzi's account. At the time, he was 30 years old and working in Carltonville. He received a call from his friend Mthokoziseni Ziphozonke Mapisa, accused number 4, who was with Mncube. Ntanzi left his workplace and met them at the Basotho hostel in Vosloorus, where they laid out the plan. On the evening of the incident, between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m., they moved to the address in Vosloorus, which was Kelly Khumalo's family home. Ntanzi entered with Mncube, while others took positions outside. Mncube shouted in Zulu for everyone to get down and hand over money and cell phones. Ntanzi started gathering items, putting cash from a container into a plastic bag. Then, a struggle broke out when Senzo Meyiwa stood up and fought with Mncube. 2 shots were fired, the second hitting Senzo Meyiwa as the gun pointed at him. Ntanzi fled to a waiting silver VW Polo vehicle outside, and soon the group drove back to the Basotho hostel. Muziga Ukhulelwa Sibiya's version aligns closely, adding that Mncube called him about the job to eliminate Senzo Meyiwa for 100,000 rand. During discussions, Kelly Khumalo phoned Mncube to confirm their arrival. The group even consulted a traditional healer beforehand, paying 50 rand initially and then 5,000 rand more to ensure success. This detail highlights the careful preparation, blending modern plotting with traditional beliefs. The 5 men on trial, Sibiya, Ntanzi, Mncube, Mapisa, and Fisoguhlenkani Ntuli, have all entered not guilty pleas to charges including premeditated murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, illegal possession of a firearm, and unlawful possession of ammunition. Further evidence ties Kelly Khumalo directly to the payment through photographs found on cell phones. Lead investigator Brigadier Bongani Gininda revealed in October 2024 that images of plastic bags filled with cash, including 100 Rand and 200 Rand notes, were on Mnube's phone when he was arrested. Strikingly, the same or very similar images appeared in downloads from Longwe Twala's cell phone, who was at the house that night as the boyfriend of Kelly Khumalo's sister Zandile. Even more telling, the identical photo was allegedly on Kelly Khumalo's cell phone. Gininda pointed out there is no logical reason for Kelly Khumalo to share such an image with Mnube, a suspected hitman, or to have phone contact with him before and after Senzo Meyiwa's death. Cell phone analysis showed Kelly Khumalo had phone numbers she did not disclose to police right after the shooting, and records linked her to Mnube and Nduli. This suggests she coordinated the payment, perhaps using the cash in those bags as the 100,000 Rand murder fee. The night of the shooting unfolded at Kelly Khumalo's mother's house in Vosloorus, near Johannesburg. Senzo Meyiwa was 30 years old when he died. Senzo Meyiwa had a twin named Sia, who died in 1993. His tombstone showed that he was born on the 24th of January 1984. As they were twins, that would be Senzo Meyiwa's birthday too. Even Senzo's school register confirms that he was born on the 24th of January 1984. However, Senzo's father, Sam Meyiwa, removed Sia's tombstone on the day they buried Senzo, supposedly to shift attention away from Senzo Meyiwa's correct age. Anyway, today's story is about Senzo Meyiwa's death, not his birthday. Senzo Meyiwa was shot dead while visiting with his friends from KwaZulu-Natal, including Tumelo Madlala and Mthokozisi Twala. Also present were Kelly Khumalo's mother Ntombi, her sister Zandile, and Longwe Twala. Around 8 p.m., the incident occurred, resulting in Senzo Meyiwa being fatally wounded. Interestingly, the only item the alleged thieves reportedly stole was Kelly Khumalo's cell phone, which cell phone records show pinged to towers far from the hospital where the group went afterward. This contradicts any idea that no intruders were involved, as the phone's location proves it was taken elsewhere while everyone else was at the hospital. Gininda used this to argue it was indeed an intruder event, not something internal. Yes, it's this intruder who took Kelly Khumalo's phone, supposedly as per plan, so that her phone would not be scrutinized by police investigators after the incident, and also to support the version that the shooting was, indeed, a robbery gone wrong.
Now, what is your comment?
My lord, it confirms what I've said earlier, that as I was trying to, right at the beginning, when I was trying to establish as to whether there were intruders or none at the preliminary stage of the analysis of this docket, this is one of the aspects that I looked at, and that is the first responding officers being informed that there was a shooting in progress, and the suspects, in its contained statement, ran towards that direction, which is basically the park. So for me, the fact that the first responders, police officers, were informed clearly that the people who were involved in that shooting ran to a certain direction. It's a clear indication that there were people who were involved and they ran to a certain direction, and they were not found on that day, my lord. And this, my lord, as I've said, is in addition to the neighbors, the witnesses who witnessed people running out of that house after the shooting. So taking that information, which was disposed in the form of a statement, I couldn't ignore the fact that the only inclination or direction is that indeed there were intruders, because this is independent from the people who were inside the house, who were then questionable at that stage, that perhaps were they telling the truth or not. These are independent people. These are police officers who were in duty, who simply responded to the crime scene, my lord, and this is what they were informed. They documented what they were informed. They had no reason to mislead. And the neighbors and the people who also indicated that they saw people running to a certain direction, they were not part of the people who were inside the house. Those were simply eyewitnesses and neighbors who simply indicated what they observed, my lord.
Yet, deeper layers reveal Kelly Khumalo's possible motives. Text messages from 2013 between Kelly Khumalo and her sister Zandile, analyzed by cell phone expert Colonel Lamberta Steyn, show Kelly Khumalo expressing deep frustration. She described Senzo Meyiwa as bringing a dark cloud into her life and regretted not getting rid of him earlier. In one message, she felt emotionally drained and prayed for freedom from him, even mentioning attempts to end things that failed. Gininda interpreted this as hatred strong enough to lead to planning his removal permanently.
What I'm suggesting to you, Brigadier, is this. The mentioning of Kelly Khumalo as one of the factors that we talked about as collaboration. This was also in the public domain that the deceased was shot at whilst at the girlfriend, Kelly Khumalo, right? That was mentioned in the media.
No. Because we must look at what is contained in JJ and HH, and collaborate it with what is contained in the first confession, rather the confession of accused number 1, because that's how I look at the collaboration, my lord. What is mentioned in all these confessions is that Kelly Khumalo was a trigger point. That's not what was covered in the media previously, except to say the deceased was shot at the house of then the girlfriend, which is Miss Kelly Khumalo. And there were allegations of saying perhaps she may have been involved in all that, but there was no standing here, my lord. I do not have a recollection of someone saying in the media platform that Miss Kelly Khumalo hired people to kill the deceased. It was the first time, and it was the first time when we got hold of these accused, in particular 1 and 2. That is why, my lord, I said up to the time we got to accused 1 and subsequent accused 2, we were dealing with what we thought was a robbery that possibly went wrong. The assertion that indicates that this was a contractual killing started forming that picture when we got to accused number 1, and thereafter it was supported by exhibit HH and JJ by accused number 2.
Combined with the confessions, it paints Kelly Khumalo as the trigger point for the conspiracy. In Ntanzi's second confession from June 24, 2020, read by Magistrate Vivian Cronje, more details emerge about the immediate aftermath. Ntanzi expressed fear and asked for protection, saying he was threatened right after the event. He described how at the hostel, Mncube warned him that if any word got out, he would be killed. Ntanzi was shivering, as it was his first time in such a situation. They drove in a Polo Vivo, and at a stop street, some switched cars. Mncube kept pointing at Ntanzi, swearing and threatening because of his visible fear. Later, at Sibiya's house, a meeting with the men's fathers addressed concerns about Sibiya's sisters possibly talking to police. Ntanzi changed his phone numbers to avoid constant calls and threats, and he received his full 45,000 rand in installments. Sibiya added in his account that before entering the house, there was a handover of firearms from someone named Simpiwe. Ntuli drove, Sibiya acted as lookout, and Mapisa watched from the window. Inside, Mncube demanded compliance, and during the scuffle, Senzo Meyiwa hit Mncube with a chair, apparently trying to stop him from taking something Kelly Khumalo had directed him to. Shots rang out as Ntanzi headed outside, and they escaped. Back at the hostel, Mncube confirmed the hit, again threatening Ntanzi. Questions about why Kelly Khumalo has not been arrested persist. In April 2024, investigator Sergeant Batso Mukhula was questioned in court about a warrant application for Kelly Khumalo from October 2020, the same time as for the 5 accused. It was drafted but never authorized. Mukhula admitted knowing about it but not why it was not pursued. This fits Mkhwanazi's claims of capture, as the state insists the 5 are the culprits yet ignores implications of masterminds. Gininda recommended Kelly Khumalo's arrest in a 2020 affidavit, calling it a contractual assassination, not a robbery. Prosecutors chose not to charge her, saying more investigation was needed. Gininda noted Ntanzi was willing to testify against others for a reduced sentence, but talks failed.
Now, in terms of your testimony, you are mentioning that he is just a recouping, that Kelly is a kingpin, not so.
Yes, the evidence, my lord, that we collected suggests that she's a trigger point.
Controversial police boss General Shadrack Sibiya's involvement also adds suspicion. As former Gauteng Hawks head, he arrived at the scene soon after the shooting, even though it was not Hawks' jurisdiction. A police officer present said Sibia ordered no statements be taken that night, claiming witnesses were too upset. Statements were only obtained 10 days later, on the 6th of November 2014. Sibia confirmed visiting after a call from a deputy commissioner and arranging a meeting for musician Sello Chico Twala, who is Longwi's father, with investigators. In 2019, while suspended and technically a civilian, Sibia met with witness Constable Sizwe Khumbuzo Zungu and others, discussing case details. Zungu testified Sibia verified information as accurate and suggested involving Warrant Officer Meshak Makubo from the second docket, which implicated those in the house, including Longwe Twala as possibly shooting Senzo Meyiwa during an argument over Zandile.
You say that present at that meeting with Lishabane was also General Sibia present, correct?
Yes.
And you state that at the time General Sibia was the head of Hawks in Gauteng, correct?
I was informed by the general that he was the head of the Hawks.
Now, if I inform you that at the time of this meeting, that is in 2019, General Sibia was fired from, at the time he was already fired from the SAPS. He was only reinstated in 2020.
I heard that thereafter.
So in essence, at the time of this meeting, Sibia, who's also interested in this matter, was a civilian. He was not an officer of SAPS, correct?
Yes.
And you state that him, Sibia, told you that the information that you had relayed to the police was correct and accurate, correct?
Yes.
Now, as a civilian, how will you have known that information is correct?
I wouldn't know as to how he got to know, but what I knew at the time was that he was a police officer.
That second docket, compiled by Makubo, concluded no intruders entered and pointed to internal conflict. The NPA refused to prosecute it, leading to criticism from researcher Mary de Haas. In letters from February 2025 to NPA head advocate Shamila Batohi and General Godfrey Lebeya, who was the Hawks national head at the time, de Haas warned of a high-level cover-up. She claimed Makubo's life is in danger for building a strong case against those present. De Haas listed mysterious deaths, a Senzo Meyiwa family neighbor who was poisoned, a retired senior officer who was also poisoned with his wife later shot, another officer in a car crash after the brakes were tampered with, and defense advocate Thulani Mngomezulu, who died mysteriously this year after his dog was poisoned. Mngomezulu had sought to reopen the trial within a trial to call witnesses like Shadrach Sibia and others, but died before proceeding.
Sir, have they announced to you that your attorney advocate has left us? Did they announce you? Mr. Mngomezulu? Ushili. Hello? Uzweni? Is all. Okay, yeah. We all are very, very sorry about the latest turn of events. Yeah? Manje, we can't continue until you decide what should happen to your defense. I won't influence you, can't tell you what to do, but you have a right either to defend yourself or to appoint another defense counsel.
On January 9, 2025, attackers stormed Makubo's home in an apparent assassination attempt. His son escaped by hitting a panic button, but police failed to collect fingerprints. De Haas accused Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions Advocate Andrew Chauge of overruling a decision to prosecute the second docket, reportedly after being influenced by former National Commissioner Kehla Sitole. This led to Makubo facing malicious charges to discredit him. Meanwhile, the state closed its case on July 24, 2025, after 3 years, with the defense now set to call witnesses. The trial continues, but if the 5 are convicted, focus shifts to the mastermind, who, according to information presented in court so far, points to Kelly Khumalo, though convicting such figures is hard due to deliberate distance. We know from past cases such as the Chanel Henning case and the Diwani matter that it is achievable to put the gunman behind bars, but it is extraordinarily difficult to convict a mastermind. They deliberately create distance and layers between themselves and the hitmen to avoid any kind of proximity to the hit. That is also why the 100,000 rand payments are done in cash and not through bank transfers. Adding to the intrigue, hours after the shooting, Kelly Khumalo and Zandile reportedly visited a nearby Sangoma for ritual cleansing. Days later, their mother Gladness brought Zandile and Longwe, who complained of a dead person strangling him at night. The Sangoma performed rituals, reluctant at first without parental consent for Longwe, but proceeded. In January 2015, Kelly Khumalo returned with a goat for more cleansing, as things were not going well and her children underwent rituals too. The Sangoma noted a shadow following Longwe. Gininda linked this to the accused also seeking cleansing, unusual for innocence. Senzo Meyiwa's widow Mandisa, in her 2020 book, recounted warnings Senzo received. Friend Mthokozi Sithwala cautioned him about Kelly Khumalo's baggage and a dark spiritual cloud, predicting he would become a sacrifice. A traditional healer told Senzo's parents the ancestors disapproved his relationship with Kelly Khumalo, foreseeing it ending with a gun and someone dying if not stopped. No one in the house called for help immediately. Longwe ran out first without seeking aid. Mthokozi Sithwala ran after the first shot and only told neighbors what had happened. Zandile went to a neighbor in panic but returned without calling emergency. Kelly Khumalo stayed with Senzo Meyiwa but made calls to others, not police. Cell records confirm no emergency call from her.
We heard a gunshot. Then I start seeing that something is happening.
It was a sad moment because he was very injured, and by the time we got there to try and help him to put him in the car, he was looking very powerless and hurt. So we put him in the car and then they drove to the hospital. And then we got a phone call later that he had passed out. Yeah.
But what is going on in this country? Really, it's bad. No, it's bad.
Everyone who has implicated Kelly Khumalo since 2014 has met mysterious ends, as De Haas highlighted. The pattern suggests implicating her brings deadly risks, tying back to Mkhwanazi's capture claims. In 2022, advocate Malesela Tifo was disbarred by the High Court in Pretoria due to professional misconduct. He is no longer a practicing advocate. While still representing clients in the case during 2022, the then advocate told the Pretoria High Court that he intended to call Kelly Khumalo to testify, claiming she was the one who shot Senzo Meyiwa. Tifo said he had 2 witnesses who were willing to testify against Kelly Khumalo in court. However, he was disbarred by the High Court before calling the witnesses to court.
I put it to you, Mr. Musia, that witness, not just witness, eyewitness, will testify that Senzo Robert Meyiwa was allegedly shot by Nhlanhla Kelly Khumalo by mistake, as it's alleged. Do you have a response?
No respond in that, my lord.
Angampenduka kushoyo ukuthi ke kunofakazi owabona ozosho ukuthi ke uSenzo Meyiwa wathi ujuka uyena uNhlanhla Kelly Khumalo ngephutha.
The same eyewitness will further testify that the firearm used to shoot Senzo Robert Meyiwa by Kelly Khumalo came with Longwe Twala, and the firearm is a revolver. Any response?
No comment on that.
The same eyewitness will say all these efforts of removing the body from the scene, which is a primary scene, to the secondary scene, that is the hospital. It was all about the furtherance of concealment of the murder of Senzo Meyiwa by dumping him at the Botsilong Hospital. In essence, as I said yesterday, it was literally just to go and dump him at the mortuary out of the hospital, because the people in the house, they knew already that he has passed on. And it was further, as per will be related by the eyewitness, saying that all these efforts were done to avoid the relatives or the friends or the people known to Senzo, in particular, that day, as Senzo Meyiwa was supposed to go and attend the birthday party of his colleague, Mr. Roy Mahamotsa. So, what was avoided? They were avoiding for the Pirates players to come to that house. Instead, they deem it fit for them to go and visit Senzo at the hospital, as he was. Do you have anything to say?
Nothing to say on that, my lord.
Following order is made. 1. The respondent, Advocate Malisela Daniel Tefo, is hereby removed from the role of legal practitioners. 2. The respondent must surrender and deliver his certificate of enrollment as a legal practitioner to the registrar of this honorable court. 3. In the event of the respondent failing to comply with the terms of this order detailed in paragraph 2, within 2 weeks from the date of this order, the sheriff of the district in which the certificate is be authorized and directed to take possession of the certificate to hand it to the register of the honorable court. The respondent is prohibited from handling or operating on his banking accounts used in receiving monies for the client.
The state must prove its case against the 5, but true justice requires pursuing the mastermind. Public scrutiny is intense. Failure could further erode trust in the justice system. Kelly Khumalo has maintained her innocence from day one. When contacted for comment by the Sunday Independent in November 2019, Kelly Khumalo sent a WhatsApp which reads, "Why don't you write the you've been writing all along? I dare you to contact me again asking. Just know that once all of this is done, my legal team is coming." Not a threat but a promise. What do you think really happened that night in Vosloorus? Do you believe Kelly Khumalo ordered the hit on Senzo Meyiwa, or you believe Kelly's version that armed robbers killed Senzo Meyiwa? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this news bulletin. Please share your opinion in the comments section. We would be glad to read and respond to your comments. Let's meet again tomorrow in our next strange story. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a relaxing Sunday.